Trump's 150% tariff threat backfires as BRICS unveils a game-changing payment system. Donald Trump recently issued a fierce ultimatum to the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, warning that any attempt to dethrone the US dollar would face crippling economic retaliation, including tariffs up to 150%. He underscored that the dollar's global dominance is non-negotiable, promising harsh sanctions for any challengers. Yet far from retreating, BRICS has doubled down, rolling out bold moves to sidestep US financial control and reshape the world's economic order. BRICS isn't just talking defiance, they're acting on it. For years, these countries have worked to loosen the dollar's grip, pushing trade in local currencies. Brazil and China, for instance, now swap goods using the yuan and real, bypassing the dollar entirely. This slashes exchange risks and bolsters their financial autonomy, signaling a broader intent to rewrite global trade rules without US oversight. Alongside this, BRICS has stockpiled gold, aiming for 6,200 tons by late 2024, over 21% of global reserves. This isn't mere hoarding, it's a shield against economic turbulence and US-led sanctions, securing assets the dollar can't touch. The real bombshell? BRICS Pay, a blockchain-powered payment system letting member nations trade in their own currencies, dodging Western-dominated networks like SWIFT. By cutting conversion fees and transaction costs, BRICS Pay isn't just about efficiency. It's a direct assault on the US-centric financial framework, paving the way for a multipolar economic landscape. These steps, paired with gold reserves, aim to erode the dollar's reign and forge a new financial order. As tensions mount, BRICS is not only tweaking its policies but redefining global power dynamics. Can they truly topple the dollar's throne? That's the billion-dollar question. The US dollar isn't just money. It's the lifeblood of international commerce, woven into trade deals, markets, and institutions where America wields outsized influence. BRICS moves, though, are rattling that foundation. With tighter collaboration, they're crafting a future where financial clout isn't solely Washington's domain. The stakes are high, and the outcome could pivot the global economy into uncharted territory. Trump's 200% wine tariff threat sparks US-EU trade war. Trump's not just eyeing BRICS. He's now threatening 200% tariffs on European wine, champagne, and spirits, a retaliatory jab at the EU's 50% tariff on US whiskey. If they don't drop it fast, we'll hit all their wines and champagnes with 200%, he posted. It's a calculated move to force the EU to rethink its taxes on US steel and aluminum, but it's poised to ignite a transatlantic trade firestorm. In 2023, the EU shipped $13.1 billion in booze to the US, with French wine leading the charge. A 200% tariff would double or triple prices, gutting their market share as American buyers balk. France, Italy, and Spain, wine giants, would take a brutal hit, their premium labels like champagne facing a steep climb. The EU's not rolling over, though. Officials vow to shield their wine trade, slamming Trump's plan as a wrecking ball to US-EU ties. France is gearing up to fight back, ready for whatever Trump throws. This isn't a one-way loss. US consumers might ditch EU bottles for domestic options, a potential boon for California and Texas wineries. If the EU holds firm, its wine exports could tank, while US producers seize the moment to expand, perhaps even into Europe if tariffs tilt the playing field. This clash is heating up, and the next moves could stun both sides of the Atlantic. Trump's Panama Canal power play. At just 80 kilometers, the Panama Canal handles over 14,000 ships yearly, 5% of global maritime trade, with 70% tied to US ports. In early 2025, Trump vowed to take it back, railing against high fees on US ships and pointing fingers at CK Hutchison Holdings, a Hong Kong firm running key ports at Balboa and Cristobal. He claims it's a trade and security threat, and leaked Pentagon docs show he's mulling military and technical options to lock in US access. Panama fired back. The canal is ours, period. Yet weeks later, they ditched China's Belt and Road Initiative and axed CK Hutchison's 25-year port deal. Enter BlackRock, a US financial titan, snagging a $22.8 billion port takeover. Panama insists it's just business, not a sovereignty sellout, but the timing screams US influence. China, the canal's second biggest user, stayed mum, though experts see it quietly pivoting to Brazil, Nicaragua, and Arctic routes to dodge US chokeholds. This isn't war, it's a high-stakes chess match. The US flexes trade and finance, China counters with stealth expansion, Panama juggles both, clinging to its autonomy. The canal's a flashpoint again, and the outcome could reroute global trade. BRICS eyes, IMF exit. A financial earthquake looms. BRICS is mulling a bombshell, quitting the IMF and World Bank to build a rival financial system free of US sway. The IMF's US-Europe tilt, with over 50% voting power, often leaves BRICS sidelined, stuck with loan terms that gut public spending and favor Western markets.
Nations like Nigeria and Brazil have reeled from the fallout. Cost spikes, instability, protests. Russia's finance minister Anton Siluanov sums it up. The IMF doesn't serve us. We need fairness. BRICS isn't waiting. The new development bank, NDB, mirrors the IMF but skips the harsh strings, fostering cooperation without Western meddling. The Contingent Reserve Arrangement, CRA, cushions crises sans IMF help. BRICS pay lets them trade in local currencies, chipping at the dollar's edge. At the 2024 summit, talk of boosting the yuan and a BRICS grain exchange aimed to ditch Western systems entirely.
The US might fuel this shift. Project 2025, a GOP push, wants to yank $770 billion from the IMF and World Bank for domestic use, arguing taxpayers shouldn't fund global bodies Washington can't fully boss. If the US bolts, the IMF's clout tanks and BRICS steps up. The NDB and CRA could dominate lending, China could push the yuan globally, and US sanctions, tied to IMF leverage, would lose teeth. BRICS banks offer no austerity infrastructure cash, a lifeline for poorer nations. An IMF exit by either side could flip the financial script. The dollar's reign might wobble as the yuan, rupee, and others rise, handing emerging economies a megaphone, and the US a wake-up call. A world in flux trumps tariff gambit, 150% at BRICS, 200% at the EU, meant to lock in dollar supremacy, is backfiring. BRICS is striking back with gold, BRICS pay, and an IMF exit plan, carving a dollar-free future. The US-EU wine war and Panama Canal grab show Trump doubling down, but at what cost? Rock's roast laid bare the absurdity, yet the stakes are real. If BRICS pulls off its vision, global finance tilts eastward, and the US faces a humbler role. This isn't just trade, it's a power pivot, and the next chapter could rewrite everything.